Hello, hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here today with our guest, Dr. Rosie Kuhn, not only because I'm looking forward to this conversation, because also she's going to be a speaker at the upcoming festival that we're having. So, Rosie, I was reading your website and you've done so many incredible things and wrote 14 books and a whole long list of accomplishments. So instead of me fumbling through all of that, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Trine. Thank you. Um, so I think of myself as a regular person. I grew up in a family of 9. I was 6 of 9 kids, and outside Detroit in Michigan, and pretty dysfunctional family, alcoholic family, that kind of thing. Wanted to get married as soon as possible, get those kids, get that sort of rooted in a new life that would be happy. That didn't happen. It wasn't a happy marriage. It was just not a fulfilling marriage. I chose to, I was 20 when I got married. Then I was 23 when I had my first my daughter. And when I was 26, I just needed to leave the marriage. And I realized that my children would be better off living with their dad while I kind of grew myself up, while I went and got an education, a master's degree, so I could get work, so my children could come live with me. So it was a huge part of my life that I made that choice for them. And the intention was that they would come live with me in a matter of months or years, maybe a couple.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mention that because it is foundational to the reality of my life, which is my children never came to live with me because their reality with their dad became their whole life. And I became sort of secondary, as I think a lot of mothers or parents who have to be non-custodial parents find. But from there, I went into family therapy, became a marriage and family therapist, worked in recovery out in Nova Scotia, Canada for 8 years. I went sailing across the Atlantic Ocean on a 93-foot schooner. All these things I didn't expect to do. I just wanted to be a mom. That was my life. Mom. But life has its way of taking turns.
It
So
certainly
the bottom
does.
line of all of that, from the boat trip of 2 years to going to California and getting a PhD in transpersonal psychology, finding transformational life coaching, becoming a life coach, training people to be life coaches, and writing about all of that at the same time. That's pretty much it. And I think the last thing would be to mention the process of spiritual emergence, or what I call spiritual immersion, like immersing ourselves in this process of relating to our spiritual self and our human self at the same time. That's a huge part of my life, and I think it's a big part of everybody's life. And that becomes sort of the focus of my work with people, is to support and empower us to cultivate enlightened living, as I say. Because we go, oh yeah, I want to be spiritual and I want to be enlightened, but we actually don't know what that means. We don't know what it means until we're in it. And I think you know that.
Yep. Yes.
We don't know it until we're in it.
No, it's so easy to pick up like this idea of what it means to be enlightened. And we can spend a lot of time and energy chasing that ideal, and until we realize that that's not really how it works.
Yeah. And people will say, I had a client this morning and she goes, I know that once I'm transformed and once I have this, then life will be good. And it's like, I want you to get, if nothing else, that from my perspective, you never arrive, because it just is the next plateau for the next launch, for your next learning opportunity.
Yes.
So, and the big event of my life is on Saturday, I'm turning 70.
Ooh, that is a big day.
It's a huge, it's one of those days that I've been avoiding. I can't avoid it, right? But it's like, that can't happen to me. It just won't happen to me. But here I am, days away from turning 70, and the whole revelation and the profoundness of reality, if you will, with that upcoming moment is a pretty big deal. I like you said, I've written many books, and one of those is called Aging Like a Guru.
Yes, I love that title.
Aging like a guru, who me? Because it's like, I'm not aging, first of all, and second of all, what's this guru thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
The closer I get to 70, and obviously if I make it to 70, I'll make it to the day after 70. Then it's like I'm just, the whole aging like a guru takes on a whole different reality than when I'm 65, aging like a guru. So anyway, that's the short story of
Yeah.
my life. So
That's so funny you say this about first this thing about that we are always on our way to the next plateau, and that we won't ever really get there. And then you say this about, oh, turning 70 is so big. And you know what? I remember feeling that way about turning 18, because then I would have to get my driver's license and then I would be a grown up. And I actually still had that thought, oh, when you're 18, you're grown up. I had that until I was halfway through my 20s because we had this funny idea about time and age. And
it's fascinating. And I'm so grateful that I am one of those people that is always curious about who I am and who we are. And as a transformational coach,
yeah,
I'm curious about what's going on for my clients. So it's like, oh, what's it like being you? And so listening to myself going, what's it like being me turning 70? It's like, I'm not 7. There's nothing in me
no.
that's 70. You know, first of all, we're eternal beings, so I have to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Second of all, the youthfulness of who I am is, but you know, the physical body's doing what the physical body's doing, and even that is, I'm pretty healthy for almost 70. So it's all our orientation with, like you say, time and aging and all of that. It's pretty remarkable. It's a pretty wonderful experience, adventure that we're in. And the older I get, the more I appreciate the adventure.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God, I can't do another day. Please get me off the planet. I've had many days like that.
Yes, yes. I've been there going to bed hoping I didn't have to wake up in the morning.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Stop this planet. I need to get off because, yeah.
I had this thought once in relation to that. It's like, just stop this. Just stop. I want to get off, just like you just said.
Yeah.
And it was like this voice came in and said, well, what's the point of that? You're an eternal being. You're doing this forever, right? And it's like, oh, wait, yeah. But doing it forever doesn't mean that we're in this hellishness or this despair and this despondence and dread. It doesn't mean that at all. But it was that place like, okay, I just want to get off. But it's like, well, you can get off, but you're still going to be in it because you're eternal.
Yes.
So those dilemmas are like, oh, now what do I do? How do I? So, you know,
oh, yep.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, exactly. I can hear myself, feeling sorry for myself. And someone said, oh, and talking about reincarnation. I was like, that's not a comfort. That just means I have to do this all over again.
Yes. I created a podcast called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge.
Yes.
And the intention of that is to talk about this process that you and I are kind of alluding to, of how do we be present to ourselves through this process of questioning who we are and immersing ourselves slowly. I think about tiptoeing into our spiritual relationship with ourselves, because it can get pretty, the waters can get deep and they can get pretty scary.
Absolutely.
And if we have some guidance and some support to go, oh yeah, okay, Rosie talks about that, and Trine talks about that. Okay, it's not that abnormal. In fact, we all go through it. So anyway, there's 100 podcasts, 100 things. Episodes. Thank you.
Yes.
For spiritual immersion, taking the plunge. And again, you can find that anywhere you're listening to.
Yes. There's a lot of good stuff to dive into there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I keep thinking, because my focus has been on being highly sensitive in all of this craziness we call life. And I've been thinking, as you've been talking about your story and your experiences, about how big a role do you think it has played in your life to be highly sensitive?
I think it's played. So first of all, I didn't realize. So that's my dog Gracie. She's behind behind the
She's in the jungle somewhere.
chasing rabbits. Okay, that's it. You're done. I didn't realize that I was a highly sensitive person until probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm. Ooh,
So
a whole new dimension.
yeah, I mean, it's like, a client of mine is also a therapist, and she works with HSPs, and it's like, yeah, that, but then it's like, wow, I think I'm one of those too. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think it's a really, that's a really good question, because I don't know how to answer it.
No.
Because we don't know until we know. It's like, oh, that has me
Mhm,
be
mhm.
more, it's, I think what comes to mind is the analogy of a canary in a coal mine. Are you familiar
Yes.
with that?
Yeah.
That they, in the coal mines, they send the canary down. If there's enough oxygen for a canary to live, there's
Yes.
probably enough
It's
oxygen
safe
for
for,
it's
yeah. And once the canary tilts, then it's time to get out. Yeah.
right. So those of us who are sensitive to life, um, are sensitive to ways of being, this, we'll call it the consensus view of reality, of fear and abusive negativity that's coming at us constantly. You're not enough, in order to be more beautiful or more powerful or more wealthy or more loved or more, it's all that you're not enoughness.
Yeah.
I think the highly sensitive person is more sensitive to that. So we kind of begin to wilt faster
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
other people.
Mm.
And because we feel that there's something wrong with us, because everybody else seems to think that's fine to keep trying to be more beautiful, more wealthy, more loved, more, it's like we think there's something wrong with us.
Yeah.
So I lived most of my life trying to be different
Yep.
and trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And so that's I think is the thing, is we're so sensitive that we're the front runners of
Yes.
what how people should be kinder to each other and more
Mm.
sensitive to each other and actually listen to each other
Yeah.
and hear each other,
Absolutely.
get each other.
Yes. Yes. And I agree with the canary picture. And I think sometimes, there's long lists of traits that if you tick these, you're probably a highly sensitive person. But one of the things I think sometimes is missing, that there is a kind of spiritual sensitivity as well, I find. And to, like, the unfairness, you say, or to what's not right in life. And I think that, to me, that's one of the strongest qualities, because that means we don't settle easily. We where it's like society and our parents, it's just easier for them if we just fit in and shut up and do as we're told.
That's right.
And people who might be less sensitive, they do that because they're told to, and they sort of get through that. But that's not always an option for us, because it feels so horrible that we keep struggling. And so I actually think that's a good thing, not an easy thing, but it helps us not to settle. It gives us that there has to be more
Yes.
behind or underneath this that we're seeing, that everybody else seems to think is, that's it.
Yes. I had an experience, this was 20 years ago, 30, 25 years ago, where I asked my brother for a loan to pay the rent. And he gave me a lot of justifications why he wasn't going to do that.
Mm.
And I said what I said was, I can't remember what I said, but his response was, "Oh, you're too sensitive." And it was a wake up call for me, because it's
Mm.
like, I mean, it was like a shocker to hear him say that. And maybe other people had said it before, but at this point, it's like, I'm not too sensitive. This is my truth. This is who I am. This is what I am.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to lend me the money, okay. But I'm not too sensitive. I don't know that I could say that to him, but it was an owning of, I'm not too sensitive, like too sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm me, and this is what this me looks like and sounds like and is. And it was a moment of sovereignty, if you will, of rising
Yeah.
up. And it was a good moment for me uh, to have that. And not that I was able to sustain that, we'll say, because our training is so to oppress and suppress.
Yeah.
And so it's taken me years, decades to get to a point of this level
Yeah.
of sovereignty, this level of declaration of me as me, not me as, oh, I'm a highly sensitive person, be careful, and I
Yes.
think we can use that to say, I'm a highly sensitive person, so I have to watch. And
Mm.
that makes us like a victim of that,
Yeah.
as opposed to, wow, I am more and more grateful. Every day I'm on the planet, I'm more grateful for my sensitivities because I'm opening to what that allows me in terms of what the universe, in a sense, shares with me, and I can then, in essence, share with the world the way I do. So,
Absolutely.
as challenging as our human path is, our human journey, our human experience is, it's so valuable to, I think, to stick around and keep noticing what's showing up as a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. Especially once we have this feeling that life isn't out to get us, life is actually for us, it's on our
Yes,
side, if you like.
yes,
Yeah, because
and
then it becomes an adventure
yes,
instead of just, waiting for, oh my God, what's the next thing that's gonna hit me?
yes, and especially our system of aging. I mean, we're aging from the time we become a zygote, by the time,
Yeah,
the two cells come together, and now we're maturing from
yeah,
there on until we die. And so this process is ever evolving, but we don't think about that until our skin starts to get crepey, or, the wrinkles or the sags, or
gravity becomes visible and
gravity becomes, but everything else becomes like, even when we're in our 40s or 30s, it's like, oh, my memory's going, I'm getting old, or, oh, I'm feeling aches, it's like I'm getting old. It's like we attribute all of that to aging, when it's not aging, it's our belief system and
yeah,
our the sensitivity we all have to our um, consensus view of reality. That makes
yeah,
sense. And
yes,
so the more sensitive we are to that, we turning 70, it's like, I should get out of bed, and this is air quote, like, this is not the truth, but
mm,
get out of bed and have aches, and oh my God, this is like
yeah,
horrible, and and
yeah,
I'm going to see the doctor tomorrow, and I'm going to see the doctor the next day, and I'm going to see another doctor. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's a paradigm, if you will,
yeah,
and it's not required. We think we're in decline and decrepitude. So this whole paradigm of aging and the
mhm,
sensitivities that we have to the culture, our
yeah,
cultures that say, oh, you're old,
mhm,
you better go to the doctor, you better stop doing that, you better stop doing that.
yeah,
As opposed to, we are so much more than
absolutely,
decline and decrepitude. So it's daunting to age well and age like a guru, if you will, because I don't know what that actually means, other than just to be me.
yeah,
But this being sensitive to my own knowing, I think
mhm,
that's I think such a gift of your podcast, is be sensitive to your own knowing and
yes,
trust and respect that, versus anything else. The gift of being highly sensitive is the gift.
yes, absolutely. And I like getting to share all these stories about how it has turned out to actually be a gift, as you say, because like you mentioned, and like I experienced, and most I talk to have this feeling of being wrong and weird and broken from the start. And if there's about 20% of us, which is the number I've come across, that means that if you're in a group of 10 people, there's at least one more like you. Yes, exactly. So standing up for ourselves and our sensitivity and owning it and being open about it, I really think that's the best thing we can do, because that first hurdle is feeling wrong and alone.
That's right.
So that's actually pretty easy to make better. Easy, again, air quotes, because it takes some courage and some awareness and some figuring out who we are, as you say. So
I think if I used my testing, I don't have any testing, but I would say 50% rather than 20%. In terms of maybe not everybody's fitting enough of those categories, but how people are sensitive. We're more sensitive, and every human being I've ever talked to, truly, unless they're really hardened and armored, defended, they have a sense of that place of fear of being enough and weird. That comes up a lot. People feel that they're going to be found out as weird or insufficient in some way, or insignificant.
Absolutely.
And so more people than we can imagine, I think, really feel that way, but we're just more armored and defended. We live a well-defended life. And it's like, oh no, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those. It's like, okay.
All right. Yes.
And how's your life going, basically? And if we're not leaning into our fulfillment and happiness, like your Happy and Aligned festival coming up, if we're not leaning into that, we're probably not leaning into cultivating more sensitivity so that we're listening to ourselves and others in a more sensitive way. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Because to me, that gives me a foundation that allows me to open up to my sensitivity and be open about it, because I don't spend all my time, as you say, protecting myself or building my armor or keeping it up to stay safe. I have that safety from within. That's right. Instead now.
That's right. And you can align to that. And as we align to that, then we become more fulfilled because we're listening to ourselves.
Yes.
We want people to listen to us. It's one of the things we struggle with our whole life is just listen to me. But 90% of us are not listening to ourselves. When I have a client, a coaching client, whatever, and I'll say, what's it like being you right now? And they'll go, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what's it like being you in this moment? I don't know what do you mean by being? I don't know. This is who my mother told me who I was. This is how I am with my husband. This is how I am with my children. This is how I am at work.
Yes.
And I'm sitting with you, and here I am. What do you want me to be? How do you want me to be a client, basically?
Yeah.
Like I want to know what it's like being you right now. I don't know, because we're not listening and hearing and getting who we are in the moment. We're trying to strive. We're trying to get away from. We're trying to stay armored. We're trying to stay defended.
Yeah.
But I in my work, I think I'm cultivating and creating that sensitivity to what showed up. Like I had a client this morning, and she's talking about something, and I was talking about something, and her face just got reddish, and tearish, kind of. And I said, "What showed up?" Because she changed into a different state of being in that moment, because that's where we live. We live in the moment. And so to say, what just happened in this moment? And she goes, oh, I just felt some sadness. Yeah. That was it. So we become more sensitive. We're cultivating the capacity for us to be more sensitive to ourselves and honor this, as opposed to dishonor this. Even when people say, I don't like chocolate, it's like, good to know. But everybody else likes chocolate. I get it. But you don't. No, I don't like chocolate. Good to know. Rather than, well, here's what we should do to get you to like chocolate. Or
yes. If we start you out on a small dose, then we can.
That's right. And that's what so much of our world is about. You should like chocolate.
Yes.
It's good for you,
Yeah.
And chocolate is just an example of whatever, you should like,
Mhm. Also,
whatever.
because if you don't like chocolate, that's sort of inherently asking my choice, or questioning my choice about liking chocolate, and I don't want that, because I'm just so used to eating my chocolate that don't you be different to remind me that there are other options.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's true. I think for a lot of our cultural foods, chocolate's just one of
Mm.
them. But being raised with a lot of meat and potatoes and wheat and breads, and
Mhm.
it's like, and or the cocktail hour, right? 5 o'clock in the United States is the cocktail hour.
Yeah.
That's what I expected to do, and that's what I wanted. But
Mhm.
I have an allergy to alcohol.
Mm.
It gives me the spinnies, like I get vertigo, not
Yeah.
not drunk, just.
No.
And the same with wheat and sugars and things like that, that it's like, no, I have a right to my things that I want. And it's like, yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. My body has some sensitivities. Because we all do.
Mhm.
And so I start to respect and honor my sensitivities, because I
You
got
have to if you want to feel good,
I've got
don't you?
skinnies,
Yeah.
I've got aches and pains when I eat things that I shouldn't, and then
Mhm.
the eyes get all cloggy up, and it's like, you got to pay attention. Those are sensitivities that you're
Yeah.
experiencing, and people go, I got to go to the doctor. I have this ache. It's like,
Yeah.
and then I can say, well, what are you eating? But most people don't want to hear that, right? Exactly what you said. It's like, don't tell me that you have a sensitivity, because I don't want to know about my sensitivities. I
Yeah.
want to keep eating and drinking the way I want to.
Yep. And the
Okay,
doctor probably got some pill that'll allow you to do that too.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
it becomes more aligned. I want to be aligned with my true nature
mm,
versus taking a pill that's going to help me
forget about it,
forget about
basically.
it. I
Yeah.
had a friend of mine who she said she's very sensitive to sugar. So she said she would be eating a chocolate chip cookie
Mhm.
and wiping or putting some salve on her breast where it was itching at the same time. She's like, I can't stop. It's like, okay, I get it, because we all have our sensitivities wherever they
Mhm.
are,
Yeah.
and we don't want to admit them. We want to ignore them. And I think that's true for all highly sensitive people. We just want to ignore that that's the truth. Try to be normal, but
Yeah.
normal isn't great, really.
No. And that's the beauty of finding that alignment. And to find that, we have to be true to ourselves.
Right.
And when we start to live life like that, that's another addiction, I find, because then we don't want to go back. It's like when you feel how your body is more vital and alive without sugar and wheat, then why would you go back to
Yes.
that? Mm,
Yes. And that's true with, people who are like in a 9 to 5 job, and
yeah.
they go, I can't live without it. But they,
Mhm.
because of COVID or whatever
Yeah.
circumstances,
Yeah.
they have had to live without that 9 to 5.
Mhm.
And then they realize, wow, there's a lot of freedom and flexibility and fun here. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Uh, and the same with partners, perhaps, or
Mhm.
whatever it is, where it's like, I was so addicted. I was a love addict in a sense. I was addicted to relationships.
Yeah.
And I thought I needed one and couldn't live without it.
Mhm.
But now I'm clear. I don't want to say because of my sensitivities, but because of who I am with my sensitivities,
Yes.
um, I'm actually a happier person without a partner. I just am. I have a lot of freedom and fun and a lot of flexibility. I enjoy my
Mm.
own company. I can make my own choices. At times that I would love to share the responsibilities. At times I would love to share, the parts that are hard that I
Yeah.
do by myself. We had a power outage yesterday because we had some wind
Mm.
and rain, and I had to go out there and, 70 years old, and I'm out there starting a generator, pulling on that thing, getting it going. It's
Yes.
like, I wish I had someone here to do that. But
At the
90%
same time, it feels kind of cool, doesn't it, to
when
do
it
it yourself?
started, Gracie,
Yes.
my dog was like watching it, and the smoke started out, and they went on, but I went, yes, I did it. I did it.
Yes.
Um, so there's those moments where it's like, geez, I wish I had somebody else to do that for me, but
Mm.
I have to do that maybe twice a year. no big deal, right?
No.
And I'm happier, happy and
Yeah.
fulfilled and aligned. That's what I'm aligning to the truth of who I am. Uh, it's big work to align to. It's not like, and what we're both saying, this is not like you go, oh, I'm a highly sensitive person. Now I'm great. Now I can own that. And aren't I somebody, you know?
Oh, if only.
But there's a lot of that real discovery and the willingness to be true to ourselves in that exploration of, wow, I just feel like I suck, or I've been told my whole life that I'm weird, or, you know, and I've believed it. And I gotta stop doing that. And that's training ourselves. A lot of training, we think we just have to own it. It's like, oh, I'm now enlightened about my sensitivities and it's all good. But, you know, I always use the analogy of math or multiplication table, like learning to our ABCs so that we can put words together, so that we can put sentences together, that we can put paragraphs together. Like we had to train ourselves, right?
Yeah.
What comes after M, you know,
Yes.
that kind of thing, or multiplication tables, or whatever it is, or angles.
Yeah.
That constant learning and training ourselves. I paint or I knit, both of those things. And I'm constantly having to learn and train myself to do things that I've never done before. It takes training. And we have to honor that it takes training to change these patterns, change these belief systems, change these orientations in our lives. My company is called The Paradigm Shifts, because that's what we're doing, is we're changing our paradigm from, and it's like from fear-based living to aligned and happy and essence, our essence. And people go, you can't live without fear. It's like, well, maybe not, but maybe you can live with less fear.
Absolutely.
There's a statistic, I don't know if you've seen this one, but 80% of our thoughts are negative in nature.
Oof. Yep.
So if that's true, across the board, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of whoever is listening, and a lot of everybody who's about 80% of the time negative thoughts. So if we're aware of that, I'm sensitive to, oh, I'm in a negative state of being.
Absolutely.
Oh, I must be thinking negative things. Oh yeah, I'm thinking about the breakup of my boyfriend 14 years ago. It's like, okay, you know.
Or worrying about what might happen in the future, or
that's right. That's right. Or whatever it is that's here and now, right now, that makes us sad.
Absolutely.
So there's authentic sadness, there's authentic expression of us. And then there's what we kind of hold on to in these negative patterns. It's just patterning and habits. And so I say that in relation to training ourselves. That was what they, like, if I'm 80% negative in thought, what if I just did 70%? What if I worked at eliminating 10%?
Yeah.
Like, that would be a really good thing. I would be 10% happier.
Yep.
Like,
And
that's a no-brainer, right?
Yep.
You don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to get medication to train yourself to notice, oh, I'm in a negative pattern of thinking. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. And or redirect or pivot, as they say, or, oh, look at the pretty butterfly on the, you know, right there.
Yep.
Over here.
Yes.
Whatever it is. Look at, you know, redirect yourself to something that's positive if you can't get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You know, but
or even go take a nap, have a timeout.
A nap.
Yes.
Flowers are blooming outside. Go step outside, or pet your cat or your dog, or look at your fish, or pick up a paintbrush. Whatever it is that can shift that negativity in the moment, but we have to catch it in the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's where we live. We live in the moment. Go, yeah, but what about the past and what about the future? It's like, yeah, I get all that. And right here, right now is where you are. Where you are.
Yes. I think you might just have answered my wrap up question about what it is that you would like to see shift in the future for highly sensitives to thrive more. And maybe this shifting of our thoughts is one of them. Or maybe, as you were talking about your client or clients, that when you ask them what it's like to be you right now, is there something, do you have a tool or something that you use to help them to find that awareness inside themselves?
I quite often will ask the question, so like, what's it like to be you?
Mhm.
It's like, what's the quality of being right now? What's the quality of being? Because if I say, what does it feel like to be you? Immediately people go in their heads, I think I feel.
Mm. Well, I have this deadline, so I'm a little bit stressed, maybe, or.
Right. But if I say, what's the quality of being right now?
Mm.
Quality of being, and we're always in a states of being. This was really helpful to know, is we're in a state of being all the time. We're in
Yeah.
a state of being grace or presence or happiness or aligned, or we're in a state of fear or state of anxious, we're in a state of dread, we're in a state of despair and despondence,
Mm.
hate, rage. We're always in a state of being, and that state of being is what drives us to whatever actions we take
Yep.
and how we take that action. So I'm
Mm.
driving down the street and I'm anxious and I'm afraid I'm going to be late. And then it's like, and I get mad because that person pulled in front and right? The
Yeah.
state of being is driving all of that. We have
Mm.
this mind that says, I want to be empowered and in control. So I'm going to
Yeah.
that to stay
Mm.
empowered in control. Or we go, okay, let's just kind of, that doesn't work. It's not working. Doesn't
Yeah.
work for anybody. We feel like we're in control. We feel like we're right, all those things. But if we just
Yeah.
go, what's it like being you right now?
Mm.
Really pissed off because I'm not in control.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Frustrated. I feel powerless because I can't make my life be different. I can't get people to hear me or see me. Totally get that. So what's the quality of that experience? And they can go, "Urgh." They can feel it. It's like, what is it you want to experience? What's the
Mm.
quality of experience you want? And or people will say, hey, I want, they come in with a coach. Everybody wants something. You come
Yeah.
in to get something. What
Yeah.
is it you want? Oh, I want a red sports car. Okay, great.
Mm.
What will you have when you have that sports car? Oh, I'll have this identity and this sexiness and all that stuff. What
Yeah.
will you have when you have that sexy, powerful sense of self? It's a
Mm.
quality of being that we're looking for.
Yeah.
We want that quality of being. What's the quality of being when you feel sexy and behind your wheel?
Mm-hmm.
I feel empowered. I feel wonderful. I feel delighted. I feel excited. I feel I'm an adventure.
Mm.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Or quite often, sorry, I'm answering this question 14 ways because I think it's an
Yeah.
important question.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
But quite
important.
often, and this really is helpful, this is my magic wand.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm a fairy godmother, officially, because I say so. And this one, and so I'll say to people, I'll say to you, Trine, in this
Mm-hmm.
moment, as an example, it's like, what is it that you want? I'm going to wave my magic wand and I empower you to empower yourself to make that so. So what is it that you're wanting?
I
Now,
want.
before you start,
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody who's watching to watch what happens to you as you're answering that question. Okay.
But no
Okay.
pressure, right?
Just be you. Just be you. So what is it that you want? I'm waving my magic wand and you can have it.
I think what I want more than anything is to know for sure that I can never lose that connection to myself, or at least I can always find it if it's momentarily gone.
Okay. Excellent. Now, what you said is I want to know that. Okay. In this moment, I want you to be in the knowing. What shifted in this moment as you're being in the knowing of that?
Mm, that feels so much more empowered, as you said,
And
and
what's the quality?
confident.
Good. What's the quality of that being, of that state of being for you? What's the quality of being in that knowing that you're wanting?
Mm. Amazing. Oh, what's the quality? Mm.
The expression is amazing, right? That's like,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. But
Mhm.
so what is that is the source of that expression of amazing? Does that make sense? What is that? When I say, what's it like
Mhm.
to be in that knowing? Because a lot of people say, well, I want the knowing, and we're
Mhm.
committed to the wanting, but we don't actually have the experience of the knowing. So I just say,
Mm.
hey, what's it like being in the knowing? And you go, whoa.
Yeah. It feels safe, and it feels there's strength in that.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Anything else?
Well, confident and invincible, if
Excellent.
that's yeah.
Yeah, the safeness allows us to feel the invincibility.
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful.
Mm.
So that's when we're in the moment, and we can cultivate that ability to be present to, I'm not in that, I'm in er, but I
Yeah.
want that. So how do I cultivate the capacity to not only bring myself in this? I ask the question, boom, you're in it, right? It's not like it's far away someplace. It's right here. Okay. But
Yeah.
we go, oh no, I've got to go through, but it's creating that space for this, and then
Mhm.
cultivating a capacity to sustain that to greater and greater degrees.
Yeah.
And so that's watching that negativity and go, oh, that negative thing. Yeah, no, I'm right here. I love this. Amazing, right?
Mhm.
Automatic impulse response.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because that's what is.
I like this. I think that was really good, especially because that's such a powerful example of what I believe, that life is meant to be enjoyable, even personal and spiritual growth, that it doesn't have to be hard or long to-do lists. That one powerful question, or a follow-up question to a powerful question, that's really all it takes if we're willing to go there.
That's right. And then to remember that, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I want. Oh,
Mhm.
that. And
Yes,
then
then
every
there's
time
the practice of it.
it's the practice and the training, and it's asking the question, okay, so I'm caught over here.
Mhm.
What is this that I'm caught in that doesn't allow me to be here? Oh, well, I'm attached to identity. I'm attached to roles. I'm attached to my thinking about money. I'm attached to my fears. We're attached to fears. I
Yeah.
like my fear. So it's like I'm more attached to my fear than I am uh, in alignment with this. Okay. I'm more
Yes.
committed to staying safe in my fears than this. Okay, great. Good to know. Right.
Good to, yes.
Good
Awareness
to,
is always the first step.
but I want this. Right.
Yes.
On my website, I know we have to close up because we're running late, but on my website, I have a blog. I have lots of blogs on my website,
Mm.
but one in particular says, we want transformation. We just don't want to change. And it's a great article. I love it. But
Yes.
it's absolutely true. Was we want to just wave your magic wand, Rosie, and
Yes.
I'll have that. And it's like, yeah, no,
Yes.
my magic wand allows you to hear and see and get what's true for you, and then support and empower you to empower yourself to have that. Period.
There we
Ta-da.
have it. Yes. Thank
There
you
we
so much. Thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to continue this at the festival.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna
if
have a
no sooner, I will see you in 2 weeks from
great.
today.
Wow, wow, wow. Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Love